Children who are blind or have low vision. Terms and definitions. The term visual impairment can be used to describe all levels of vision loss, from total blindness to uncorrectable vision limitations. The idea definition on vision impairment is an impairment in vision that even with correction adversely affects a child's educational performance. The term includes partial sight and blindness. Legally blind. A person is legally blind when they have a visual acuity of 20/200 or less in the better eye after correction, or a visual field of less than 20 degrees. This means that a legally blind person would have to be standing 20 feet away from an object to see it, and when a person with a typical vision can see the same object from 200 feet away. This term qualifies a person for a variety of legal and social services. Services include government funding, tax deductions, and rehabilitation. Many people who are legally blind can still read using large print. Educational terms are based on the way the student uses their vision in an educational setting. Functionally blind students learn through touch or listening. Low vision students gain their information through their vision, such as reading large print. This table shows the educational implications of visual impairments. It shows the different levels of visual impairments and what those impairments mean in an educational setting. This is the visual impairment umbrella. It shows the common terms used for visual impairments, the educational terms that are associated with the common terms, and what type of print would be needed for reading at those impairment levels. Causes of visual impairment. Damage to any of the eye structures or breakdowns in the process of visual information can result in vision impairment. It's important to have a basic understanding of how we see to further understand visual impairments.
Vision is usually the dominant sense used by people with sight. The eye is the organ of sight and is shaped as a slightly irregular hollow sphere. To get a better view, let's enlarge the eye and turn off the lights. Here's a midline view. Various structures in the eye enable it to translate light into recognizable images. Among these are the cornea, the lens, and the retina. Light from this candle can be used to show how the eye translates light waves into images. First, the candlelight passes through the cornea, a clear dome-like structure covering the iris, or colored part of the eye. The cornea bends or refracts the candlelight onto the lens. The light is then refracted a second time while passing through the lens, finally focusing on the retina. The retina is the light-sensitive part of the eye. This double refraction causes the image of the candle to appear reversed and turned upside down on the retina. Fortunately, that's not the end of the story, or the world would appear upside down. The image gets turned right side up in the brain, which is connected to the eye by the optic nerve. Impulses travel down the optic nerve to the occipital lobe of the brain, which then interprets the image of the candle in the correct perspective. Next, let's take a look at a couple of common conditions that cause blurry vision. The shape of the eye is very important in keeping things we see in focus. If the shape of the eye changes, it affects a person's vision. Normally, light is precisely focused onto the retina at a location called the focal point. Because a nearsighted eye is longer from front to back than a normal eye, light is focused in front of the retina instead of directly onto it. This makes it difficult to see things that are far away. A person with a long eye is referred to as nearsighted. Glasses with concave lenses are used to correct nearsightedness. The concave lens focuses light back onto the focal point of the retina. Farsightedness occurs when the length of the eye is too short. Light is focused at a point behind the retina, making it difficult to see things that are up close. A convex lens is used to correct farsightedness because it directs the focal point back onto the retina.
Most vision impairments in children are congenital in origin. This means that the condition is present at birth or shortly after. Some conditions are stable while others cause progressive vision loss. Some causes are hereditary conditions, maternal or fetal infection, and damage during fetal development or shortly after birth. Hereditary conditions include albinism, some forms of glaucoma, and retinitis pigmentosa. Other conditions include cataracts and underdeveloped or absence of parts of the eye structure. This may be caused by damage during fetal development. Prevalence. Students with vision impairments account for 0.4% of students. It's estimated that 26,130 is the total number of students aged 6 to 21 being served under IDEA. Vision impairments is one of the least frequently occurring disability conditions in children. About 1 in 1,000 school-aged children have a vision impairment. Vision impairments are more common in adults aged 65 and older. A large number, estimated about 75% of children with vision impairments, have additional disabilities as well. These disabilities include intellectual disabilities, learning disabilities, and physical and health impairments. The degree to which the child's development is affected depends on the severity and cause of the visual impairment and whether the child has additional disabilities. Environmental factors can play a role in the child's development, such as family background or the child's daily experiences. Children who are blind often use words that they do not have first-hand knowledge of their meanings. This is called verbalisms. Children who are blind might engage in echolalia, which is a repetition of statements used by others. They may also ask inappropriate, out-of-the-topic questions to maintain contact with others around them. Children with visual impairment should have direct experiences with complex concepts. Although a child may use a verbal expression that indicates an understanding of a concept, the child may not have the deeper understanding that comes from an actual experience. Teachers and parents should work closely with these children on concepts to provide a rich and meaningful experience. The next slide shows a teacher helping a child with low vision learn through hands-on experiences.
What letter is this?
A.
A. Look, let's trace it with our finger. There's one line, two line, and a little line in between. It's kind of like a triangle. See the A?
Yeah.
Yeah. Say A.
A.
A. And A stands for apple. Want to trace the apple? Look, this is an apple. Apple. And this is also an apple. Do you want to hold the apple? How about you smell it? Smell it. How does it smell? Smell it. Smell it. Does it smell good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple. And look, this is a picture of an apple. Want to touch it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look. It's round and it kind of looks like a ball. That's right. Kind of looks like a ball.
Motor development. Motor development is stimulated by vision. Children who are sighted learn to move by watching others. Children who are blind have difficulty with motor skills. Often, children with visual impairment are overprotected and have fewer opportunities to engage in motor activities. This can contribute to delays in motor development. Children who are blind receive services to fully benefit from schooling. One of these services is the Instruction in Orientation and Mobility, or O&M. O&M is a set of skills involved in establishing one's location in the environment and moving safely through it. These skills are important for physical, psychological, social, and economic reasons. The four most common orientation and mobility systems are human guide, cane travel, dog guide, and electronic travel aids. The next slide is a clip of a child navigating through a school with a seeing eye dog.
It's a long walk to class for Zane Burney at VI Montessori School and International Academy. But there's no hill too high, no path too tough, and no stairs too steep to slow Zane and his seeing eye dog, Hallie. In fact, there's not much that slows Zane down at all, even though he's been legally blind his entire life.
I do have a little bit of vision, but not enough to read certain things and not enough to really get around by myself as well as I should be able to.
Which is why last summer, Zane spent a month in Ohio training with Hallie to gain his independence. She helped Zane navigate throughout school and Hilly St. Thomas.
It gets easy after a while. It's just the hard thing sometimes can be Hallie's willingness to walk up the hill, and it goes for anyone.
Perhaps the biggest help Hallie has to offer is right here in class. With Hallie, Zane can focus more on learning and stay close to his computer that has a screen reader program.
The JAWS program will actually read what's on the screen to me, whether that be documents that I may have written or emails or stuff like that.
He has a fantastic attitude, and he does everything that all the rest of the students do here at the school. He goes to all the same classes. He uses all the same walkways, all the same steps. He's a really, really well-rounded kid, which you wouldn't know that he had these challenges unless you spent some time with him.
Zane says that having Hallie has made a life-changing difference in his world, but he's found there are still some hurdles with having a seeing eye dog.
The biggest challenge I've had is some people are afraid of the dog, and to them I say there's no reason to be afraid. She's a very sweet dog, one of the best breeds.
She's man's best friend, Zane's companion and protector. Allison Bourne-Finneck, News 2.
Early intervention with an O&M specialist can help very young children avoid and overcome sensory motor delays and develop fluid mobility. With the help of and support of an O&M specialist, a child should be able to move efficiently and safely through their school. The following clip shows an O&M specialist helping a child navigate the playground.
You want to go in? Careful with your head. Alright, now go to your right. You're going to come down the slide. Aquí está la nueva línea. It's definitely not your size. Watch your head. Ready? Set? Go! What happened? Nothing. It's kind of...
Cognitive and intellectual development. Blindness affects cognitive development by restricting the range and variety of a child's experiences. In early infancy, vision stimulates motor activity and exploration, forming the basis for cognitive growth. Visually impaired infants miss critical periods of development and learning, such as reaching, crawling, or walking. Social and emotional development. Children who are blind encounter unique difficulties in social situations. Most of these difficulties arise because of the way the child is perceived by society and how the child perceives themselves. Students with vision impairments are often allowed to hand in incomplete work or partial assignments. This may make them believe that they are not smart enough. The perception of the other students and the teacher also may be that the child with vision impairments cannot accomplish as much as the rest of the class. Teenagers who are visually impaired often spend more time alone after school and less time doing activities with peers compared to sighted peers. Students with low vision involve themselves with more passive activities than their sighted or blind peers, and they also sleep more. The following clip shows how early intervention can help students further develop their social and emotional development. and learn the proper techniques for using their assistive technology devices.
You're doing awesome. Are you so awesome?
I dropped it.
There you go. You're awesome. Okay, keep using your feet the right way.
The Blind Children's Center is a very, very special place. It's a place of love and nurturing, but sometimes people may wonder gosh, this is just a preschool. I mean, how much of a role does going to preschool actually have in the broader aspect of preparing for life?
Early intervention is the key. It's very different when we see a baby that comes in at months old versus a child that comes in at 3, 4 years old, because there are ingrained habits there that are very difficult to shift. There are more behavioral problems. Development is significantly more delayed. Parental depression is also extended for a much longer amount of time.
Some of our kids here at the Blind Children's Center, they're touch averse. You can't hold a blind child without them screaming. You can't put their hands on anything without them screaming. I've seen kids, if you turn the sink on and water runs, they scream. If you turn the light switch on, they scream.
It's really hard to go to a birthday party and have your child make a horrible scene in front of the entire family and friends, and so you start doing that less and less and less.
So now you start to imagine what parents are going through emotionally when all this is happening.
There can often be a crashing down of disappointment, of shock, and sometimes even depression.
It was just devastating. We didn't know anyone around us that had a disability.
Now that's painful enough for a parent, but for the child who's needing the connection with an open, available parent, that can be devastating.
You really want to be able to work with that parent to express those emotions that they need to get beyond in order to be there 100% for their child. You know, if the parents had information from the get-go, lots of experiences are open and normal and joyful. Early intervention not only provides the child with the opportunity to grow and maximize their potential, but it provides the parent with the opportunity for both the parent and the child to grow together. In normal child development, a child is almost constantly being given information from their environment. Back and forth visual information actually influences brain development.
Helen Keller could not see, she could not hear, but she had a brain ready to connect. But because of these impairments in sensory input, the usual channels were not available to her. Her teacher was having her feel the water with her fingers and feel the sound of water. She was able to then realize there was a shared meaning. That was a moment when she became alive. And it's that kind of experience of shared meaning that we really want to give any child.
If a parent is not aware of the importance of continuing to provide that information that would have been taken in visually in another way, we're actually depriving a child from building up some of that brain potential.
The questions that our staff face here to begin to socialize and integrate kids is profound.
One of the areas of greatest concern in the vision field is social skills.
I have seen very competent blind students who get to be teenagers who can't make friends. They don't learn the social skills by watching other people. They have to be taught.
Schools will use an inclusive setting at times, and you might remember this from your own school experiences. There's one child with a disability included into a regular classroom, and talk about a feeling of overwhelm and isolation to be the only different one. We do it very differently. We have inclusion where we have 50% of our children who are blind or visually impaired, 50% of our children who are typical.
Just absolutely amazed that some of these kids had little or no vision, and the way they were playing and interacting with their peers and teachers. It gave us so much hope to see these kids being normal kids.
Being with children their own age helps them have normal language models. So what we're doing is we're working with them in an ambiance that really helps them understand
What are the normal social cues, and how do you appropriately respond to that?
Programs that help support relationships will help those kids develop resilience. They'll help them be self-confident. They'll give them the social skills they need to make it in the world.
When I think about my life and to think about how things could have been different or would have been different if I didn't come to the Blind Children's Center first before going to public school, I keep thinking, gosh, it would have been a lot more difficult. I was able to know that there were people who cared about me, who accepted me as being visually impaired, and who knew that I could grow up to be anything I wanted to be.
There you go.
Can my Baba Black Sheep?
Baba Black Sheep, have you ever? Yes, sir, yes, sir.
The Blind Children's Center is looking to build an addition so that we're able to provide services up to the 3rd grade. We were working with our families to be able to advocate for their own needs as they left our program. They began to come to us with great concerns about what was being provided in the public school system.
The families feel that the services that they're going to get at the district are not going to support what we started.
Children who were capable and competent enough to be able to keep up with all of their peers couldn't because the materials weren't available. The children began to withdraw and their academic skills began to drop. Families were able to advocate for their children. They were able to knock on the right doors. They were able to get those doors to open, but the services simply weren't available.
In the community of blind adults, only 18% of the total population that could have jobs tested. That means that mainstreaming, all the words you hear, none of those things are working.
So the families are coming back and asking us, please, please, won't you help our little girl for 1 more year, 2 more years, 3 more years?
We feel that upon leaving at 3rd grade, the parents have had the opportunity to master skills in an amazing way. The children have a solid foundation in terms of learning Braille, being able to interact effectively with peers their own age. In order for us to reach this stream of expanding our program, the Blind Children's Center needs to raise approximately $4 million.
Why should you give to the Blind Children's Center? The work done here is the single most important statement for blind children made on earth.
People come from around the world to observe our program, to be able to try and duplicate it. We are a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Families walk in the door with broken hearts and broken spirits, and just, you see them leave with wings. They're flying.
Miracles and success happen here every single day.
School life. Students with vision impairments and no other disabilities should be able to compete with their sighted peers academically. If difficulties arise, teachers and other professionals work together to ensure the student is receiving proper instruction and has the needed adaptive materials. Promoting social inclusion at home and at school. Encourage the child to explore the environment by providing many hands-on experiences. Allow the child to be an active participant in each hands-on experience. Provide opportunities for the child to participate in structured group activities such as swimming and gymnastics. Encourage the child to take risks and try new activities. Provide opportunities for the child to assume responsibility for classroom jobs or home chores on a constant basis. Form partnerships with other parents and teachers and become involved in play groups and community groups. Effects on the family. Several characteristics of the family and the child may affect the parent's attitude toward their child's visual impairment. The severity of the handicap may be an important issue because children with visual impairments also have other additional disabilities. The age of onset of the visual impairment, how the information or diagnosis concerning visual impairment was initially received, and the support that the family has from medical professionals and educators. Some other effects include changes in daily routines, social interactions, and parent involvement at school. Families can include their child into their family routines by adapting tasks such as allowing more time for certain things. Families can also incorporate adaptive materials in their home, such as Braille. This allows a child to learn independence, feel a part of the family, and learn to take responsibility for their actions. Families with visually impaired children must provide ample social situations and opportunities for their child outside of the family interactions. This is necessary to help the child develop good social skills during their early years of development. Parents should participate in the IEP team. Parents become vital participants in their child's education. By communicating closely with teachers, parents can reinforce the skills a child is learning in school, in the home. Teaching strategies and accommodations, early intervention. Early intervention with infants with visual impairments may prevent the development of secondary disabilities. Early intervention is important because parents often alter their interaction with their child who is visually impaired. Teachers of young children with visual impairments should encourage parents to enhance their baby's development by talking to their baby, showing things to the baby by allowing them to touch and explore them, teaching the baby to listen to cues to what's happening around them, playing games that involve moving and identifying parts of the body by using the baby's hands to find their head, nose, ears, etc. Practices for early interventionists. Establish reliable alliances. Collaborate with families and other professionals to complete individualized family services plans. Serve as an effective member of the early intervention team. Approach early intervention from a support rather than provision of services perspective. Make home visits that promote functional outcomes for both the child and the family. Identification in school. Every state manages vision screenings in schools to determine which students have visual problems that warrant further assessments. The Snellen chart is the most common visual screening. It is used to screen for distance problems only. There is also the Snellen E chart and the Apple House umbrella screening for children who don't know the names of the letters yet. On the right, you'll see the Snellen chart, which I'm sure you've seen when you went to the eye doctors in the past. Detection of vision problems. There are many ways you can identify or detect vision problems. If you observe the following behaviors in a child: one eye drifts or aims in a different direction than the other, if the child turns or tilts their head to see, if the head is frequently tilted to one side or one shoulder is noticeably higher, squinting or closing of one eye, excessive blinking or squinting, poor visual motor skills, also called hand-eye coordination, problems moving in space, frequently bumps into things or drops things, if the child becomes easily confused when in motion, or if the child frequently loses things. Other indications if you notice a child doing this while reading or doing work. If they hold their reading material or object too close, if they close one eye or covers one eye with the hand, if they twist or tilt their head to look towards the book or object as if they favor one eye, if they frequently lose place or skip lines or repeat lines, if the child fatigues easily or becomes drowsy, if the child uses a finger to read, if they rub their eyes during or after long periods of reading, if the child reports that words move together or run together, if the child has tendency to knock over things on the desk or table, or if the child inhibits avoidance behaviors. More signs and indication is if the child frequently complains of headaches or eye strain, nausea or dizziness, motion sickness or car sickness, and double vision. Functional vision assessments are conducted by vision specialists and O&M specialists. These assessments are individualized. This assessment includes information on the student's visual disability and prognosis, current print functioning, and classroom modifications for distance and near vision tasks, assessment of reading level and reading speed, informal assessments of visual field, color vision, eye preference, and light sensitivity, equipment adaptations for classes, and travel skills. Assessment for teaching. Students who are visually impaired must demonstrate knowledge through both informal classroom evaluations and formal standardized tests. Accommodations can be made. Braille or large print tests, use of magnification device, using large print answer sheets, using a computer, and adjustments to the setting, timing, and scheduling of tests are some of the adjustments that can be made. Curriculum. Students who are visually impaired use the existing core curriculum, and they also use an expanded core curriculum, which can include access skills, orientation and mobility skills and concepts, social interaction skills, independent living skills, recreation and leisure skills, career education, use of assistive technology, sensory efficiency skills, self-determination skills, using Braille or low vision aids, and developing listening skills. This table shows the typical independent living activities for children with visual impairments. In preschool, the children learn dressing skills, mealtime routines, toileting, and the use of eating utensils. In the elementary years, the children learn selection of clothes according to the preference and weather, washing and caring for hair, household chores, handling small amounts of personal money. In high school years, the children will learn grooming, self-care, organization of personal possessions, ordering and maintaining special devices and equipment, and application of appropriate social skills. Different school settings for visually impaired students. Public school programs. The consultant model is when the general education teacher and specialized teacher set up the needed classroom adaptations. This model is used for students functioning at grade level or for the student with multiple disabilities, including a visual impairment. Itinerant services. A trained teacher travels from school to school within a district, providing direct or indirect services to students with visual impairments. Resource room programs is when the student is enrolled in a general classroom and then they receive most of their instruction, but they also go to the resource room for additional instruction. Self-contained classrooms are classrooms within the public school where only children with visual impairments are enrolled. These may be very useful for young children who are blind to prepare them for inclusion in general education classrooms. Residential school programs. Students go to classes and live on campus. This type of program has the following advantages. All the adults on campus are trained and knowledgeable about complex educational needs. The students spend all day learning. Students continue to learn beyond the 6-hour school day. Instruction continues in dormitories and in community-based settings on weekends and after school. Goals related to the expanded core curriculum are infused into all activities. Students have the opportunity to interact with other students with visual impairments. The following clip is from the Maryland School for the Blind.
This is going to be the perfect place for our son. So as soon as he turned 3, we were here.
We knew it the minute we came on the campus. We visited the campus 3 times before he actually was enrolled here.
There's a very, very friendly atmosphere here in the school.
Through that therapist, we got to know the school and came for a tour of it.
And never once did we doubt our decision.
My family and I are very satisfied.
The Maryland School for the Blind was established in 1853. It's over 155 years providing service to the state of Maryland through its on-campus and its outreach services. Serves approximately 73% of Maryland's 1,800 blind students from all over the state.
Lukey was a full-term baby and did not know he had any problems, and went back to the hospital when he was about 7 days old and found that he had severe brain damage that nobody knew about. And so he is blind, severely mentally delayed, and basically he has multiple disabilities. And basically, although he's almost 8 years old, he functions as if he's between 6 and 12 months old.
You want rain? You want rain? Here comes. Here comes.
The Maryland School for the Blind has been involved since she was an infant in infants and toddlers. The infants and toddlers program comes out to the home and provides physical therapy.
He is in their LIFE program, and that's the program for children of his ability levels, where they really are trying to teach them the life skills. For someone like Lukey, that is learning to walk, learning to feed himself, learning to communicate. Pull it towards you, and let it go.
Simple things that some people take for granted, like, crawling around on your hands and knees. They introduce Braille just with simple play toys that have bumps on them. They do physical therapy with the kids where they make it fun for them.
Our school mission can be summed up in one word: independence. And we have to ensure that they can become all that they can be.
We work with students from the ages of 5 to 21. We have some students working in restaurants, and we also have students working in the retail stores. Students do some vending where they learn some vending skills.
We got graham crackers, we got Buckeyes, we got Raisin Clusters, we got...
We do have the jobs on campus as far as the school store and Chocolate Paradise. We do have some businesses that we run on campus.
I see you have the pretzels. What are they?
They have like items that other students may need as far as personal hygiene items, some healthy snacks that they may need. They make candy for special events. We have a cafe that the students work in, and they get some experience as far as doing food service, as far as cooking, doing prep. We're constantly looking for areas in the community, businesses that would give our students a chance to work.
My primary goal is to ensure the safety of our kids, the medical safety of our kids. I see children when they're sick. There are a lot of things we can take care of right here at the school, so we don't have to send children home and have them miss a lot of time. Some of our students are very medically fragile, and we're able to take care of their needs here.
I was on the swim team for 2 years. Every year have been involved with the talent show being the Mistress of Ceremonies. The staff are very understanding towards me. They know my needs and they know how to cope with them.
For us, Maryland School for the Blind was the best choice. We're very grateful.
Assistive technology. Devices to increase visual access to print often start with video magnifiers. Closed-circuit televisions, CCTV, enlarges print size on a television screen. This can be used in a classroom to magnify classwork. On the left, you'll see a portable CCTV, and on the right, a traditional CCTV. The following clip shows assistive technology that is used in the classroom.
At the Florida School for the Deaf and the Blind, we have implemented a one-to-one laptop program for grades 9 through 12. Each laptop is loaded with a screen reader and a screen enlargement program if appropriate. We can utilize various other tools including a refreshable braille displays, USB CCTVs for both near and distance viewing, along with Daisy book players for textbooks and leisure books. By using a school-wide wireless network, the students are able to access the internet and printer in any classroom from anywhere on campus. learning has become engaging and exciting for many of our students.
Devices to increase auditory access to print. Voice output devices for personal computers and devices that convert print to auditory output. There are devices to increase tactile access to print, such as Braille printers and a Braille note taker, where students can take notes on a Braille keypad and receive auditory output or download the notes to their computer. Here you'll see the Braille alphabet. On the next slide, you'll see students using a smart Brailler. Tactile.
Tactile.
My name's Joy Carriger. I am the first grade teacher at the School for the Deaf and Blind. This year I have 6 students in my class. 5 are Braille students, 2 are totally blind students. All of the students compete for time on the Smart Brailler. The fact that it has the audio component helps them self-correct.
Erase L. T.
I feel that it helps their learning progress at a faster rate because they're not waiting for me to help them figure out what the next thing they need to do is. It gives them that instantaneous feedback, and because the Braille eraser is built into the embosser head, they can make the corrections themselves and go on.
I don't need any help when I do it because it can tell me if I do it right or wrong.
And what does that do? Why does that help you learn Braille?
Because it talks, and I need a talking Braille.
So you mean it's quicker for you to learn that one?
Yeah.
It's giving them so many tactile skills, skills with technology. My students that are totally blind are able to change the settings themselves for the voices that they're comfortable with, so it's giving them ownership and control of their learning. They're setting the pace. They're also advancing in their Braille learning at a rate that they get to choose.
Well, I know how to use the Smart Brailler. Just watch me change the voice.
The fact that it comes with the different voices, they can control what they're comfortable with. I have some students that are extremely bright. They like the voices that talk faster. Other students, they need a slower voice.
It helps me when I have groups. I will put the headphone, the little earbuds in there, and so I can have a student that's maybe working on a different grade level, or I can be working on Nemeth or Abacus with a different student, and then have another student here writing a story, and then we can just switch. And it's great because all we have to do is go back to the menu and switch the users, and David's stuff is still in there, and then Sarah's stuff is going to be in there next.
The students that are low vision also like it because of the display. It allows them to see a visual of what they're brailing, and it's helping them tie together the print, the Braille, and the audio. It increases spelling, it's increasing their vocabulary.
It's just really cool how versatile it is and how easy and user-friendly it is that the kids figure it out, and they just pass it right down, and they're like, all right, you're done.
Wow, so cool.
It's benefiting every student.
It's just, I love it. It's just so nice.
My favorite thing about the Smart Brailler is that there is audio, so it says out loud what you're typing, what you're brailing. It's tactile, so it actually brailles out on the paper what you're brailing.
Yep, it's a light touch Braille.
And there's a visual component for us print readers so that we can learn the Braille code. That's my favorite.
Devices to increase independent travel. Electronic travel aids. Laser cane uses sonar and or laser technology to detect obstacles and changes while walking. And GPS, which has speech and talking maps and is used as orientation aids. In the next video, we'll see a person using a new cane that uses ultrasound to detect obstacles around the person.
Now, the ultrasonic waves used by bats have inspired a new piece of technology which can help blind people detect obstacles.
It's a stick which can vibrate when it's near objects so that the user can sense their way around, as Jenny had explained.
Vicky was registered blind at birth. Today she's testing new technology to map the world around her.
There we are, it's vibrating now.
The cane uses ultrasound to detect obstacles, then vibrates to alert her. Usually she'd rely on her guide dog Eddie.
Well, there are occasions when guide dogs are ill, and Eddie has been, through his bad stages, have been quite ill sometimes, so I think in that case I would use it when he's not well enough to guide me around.
And here's the inspiration behind the technology. Insect-eating bats use ultrasound to find their prey in the dark, an idea developed by a team at the University of Leeds.
Two transducers which are thrusting out intense beams of ultrasound, so loud that if we could hear them, we'd be rather deafened by that. But the frequency is so high, our hearing doesn't even perceive these sounds. And the sounds are being sent out and they're being reflected, even from very weak reflectors. So a few leaves hanging from an overhead branch will be detected, or my clothes, or a curtain, or a hard object such as a chair or a table.
It's not always perfect. Alan and Sandra both use the canes, but find one can interfere with the other's ultrasound. Nevertheless, they told us it's a valuable tool. Unlike a traditional white stick, it can detect obstacles at head height, and it gives their guide dogs a bit of a break.
I think it's another option. I think guide dogs are going to be around for a long time, but there are people who don't want a guide dog, whether that's cultural reasons, whether it's allergies, or just personal preference.
It takes most users a few months to get used to the cane. For Vicky, it'll never replace Eddie, but as its manufacturers claim, it could introduce her to a whole new world of sensation. Jenny Hill, BBC News, Sheffield.
Common classroom accommodations. Some materials used in the classroom may be raised line paper and writing guides, soft lead pencils, felt tip pens, supplementary light source, such as a lamp on a desk, a braille writer, a magnification device, a book stand, a cassette tape recorder, sun visor or light shield to reduce the glare, large print reading materials, and physical education equipment with auditory signals. Instructional strategies that a teacher can use in the classroom. Have students sit closer to the board. Give students copies of teacher notes. Read notes out loud while writing on the board. Provide materials to students in the student's preferred format, such as braille or large print. Allow students to turn in audio-recorded responses. Enlarge books or other classroom materials. And provide opportunities for hands-on learning. Accommodations during testing. Use of large print tests. Oral administration of the tests. Extended time. Use of manipulatives. Use of calculators. And extra or extended breaks. The following clip shows what it would be like for a student who is visually impaired to be in a classroom without any adaptations or assistive technology.
Ladies and gentlemen, the aim for today is, what have we learned about lines? Okay, what have we learned about lines? All I really want to do is list the topics we're going to go through, so you have some idea of what you're responsible for your test on Monday. Yes, that's okay?
Yes.
All right, good, good. So, topics. Need to write better. One, midpoint formula. Two, distance formula. And remember, both of these various applications we talked about. Right, we have those applications we've discussed before. 3, we have slopes of lines, equations of lines, what else we did? We did applications of lines, kind of like the projects you guys are working on. And 6, we have, make sure I'm not forgetting anything, transforming equations. Oh, I know what it is. This is out of order, but it's pretty important. Graphic limits. So midpoint formula, distance formula, slopes of lines, equations of lines, and applications of lines. Okay? That's all the topics you're responsible.
This table shows a list of devices you can use to enhance functioning. To enhance visual functioning, you can add book stands, lamps, large print books, bold line papers, sun visors and other shields, measurement tools. To enhance tactical functioning, you can use Braille writers, templates and writing guides, Braille labelers, 3D models. To enhance auditory functioning, you can use digital tape recorders, talking books, recorded books, ebooks, talking calculators, and voice organizers and recorders. There are many assistive technology devices as well, such as video magnifiers, Braille translation software, Braille printers, electronic Braille writer, and tactical graphics maker. Here is a list of some of the resources that were listed in the book. Here is a list of national and local resources right here in Connecticut.